He did have ass cheeks.
I know. Oh, you think I didn't see them? He was packing. Slimer was caked up.
Hello and welcome to the Netherworld Dispatch with me, Will.
And me, Kristen. Thank you so much for being here. We're really hoping you're enjoying everything on Patreon.
Yes. And we literally just got back from seeing Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Yeah.
The 5th Ghostbusters movie?
Yep.
I think. And yeah, so we're recording on the late side. It's like 11 at night.
Yeah. Past my bedtime.
But the fact of the matter is, I don't think that we could stop ourselves from talking about it.
We were in the theater, like, waiting to see if there was a post-credit scene. We knew that there was a mid-credit, and then we were like, let's just wait just in case. And we just couldn't stop talking about it. And
there's no avoiding it.
Right. So we decided to just come back to Will's and do this episode about it. So I think we're going to do what we always do. We're going to keep it spoiler free at first. And then we'll give you a spoiler warning, a 3, 2, 1 countdown with a classic old woman. And then we'll go into our full thoughts about the movie.
Yes.
Okay. So spoiler free thoughts. First of all, William, would you recommend Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? I like to let people know this off the top.
I know. Yeah, I think it's fun that we do this.
Yeah.
So, and we're going to put, I think, our spoiler-free thoughts on the main feed, too. So just so you know, everybody, when we get spoilery, you have to leap to our Patreon if you want to hear us get into the ins and outs of the story and everything. Yeah. Now, a lot of people, as of right now, the Rotten Tomatoes for this movie is like 45%, let's say.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's bad. It's like rated as rotten.
Huh.
And I think someone posted, and I could be wrong. I could check, but I don't care. I think it's being reviewed worse than Ghostbusters 2016.
No, there's no way.
I'm not kidding. Maybe I should check.
Yeah, check. That's not possible.
That's almost inflammatory language at this point.
I know. But no, I feel like that cannot be.
I don't know what movie everybody saw, because the movie that I saw was like really fun.
It was great. Okay.
And funny. It made me laugh out loud more than once.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so also for context, right now we're only working with the tomato meter, people.
Right.
We don't have the audience score yet. So that means it's only the critics score.
Yeah, exactly.
And also the Rotten Tomatoes thing is very flawed anyway, but it's just a really easy shorthand.
Yes.
For talking about this sort of stuff. And yeah, Will's right. It's at a 45% right now.
45%. Oh my God. This is like a scathing indictment on film criticism, maybe. I forgot about this. I completely forgot about this. Ghostbusters 2016 is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with a 74.
Right. I mean, this in and of itself sort of shows that Rotten Tomatoes isn't the be-all, end-all sort of thing, because this is regarded as a real stinkeroo.
I'm glad that I checked that. Yeah, I forgot. They were very proud to put like the Rotten Tomatoes certified fresh emblem on like the box for their DVD and stuff. I forgot about that.
I'm quite shocked that this is certified fresh. Okay.
You're getting a live reaction to us realizing that the critics liked Ghostbusters 2016 and do not like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Weird.
So, okay, I don't know what this says. There's there's too much to unpack about what this might mean for film criticism.
The implications of this are going to be felt through the generations.
I know. I'm not kidding. I genuinely think that this communicates something.
It does. It does.
But it's not my concern at the moment.
Wait, also, there are 394 reviews of Ghostbusters 2016. Yeah. This movie just came out in theaters today. Okay, there are 154 reviews of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
So just under half.
Right.
They're not going to get enough reviews.
Need a fuller view.
I don't think they're going to get enough reviews to crank that up. So what Rotten Tomatoes does...
It could crank it up.
Rotten Tomatoes aggregates all the reviews, which is a decent resource. Yeah. All it does is it takes the temperature of what are most critics thinking. And this means most critics came down negative on it.
Yeah.
45% is a failing grade, like in school, right? So
anything under 50% is considered rotten.
They gave Ghostbusters 2016, what would this be, like a C? A 74?
Wait, go back to Frozen Empire. Coming soon, Hate to Love, Nickelback. I guess that's probably a concert movie. Got 43%.
We don't have time for that.
So Ghostbusters only got slightly more than what I'm guessing is a Nickelback concert film. Can you find out if that's what Hate to Love is?
Yeah. What do you think it's gonna be? It's
mean,
not the dramatized story of the creation of
you're
Nickelback.
You're right. What else would it be? Okay, go ahead.
100% a concert movie. Without knowing, I know for sure.
You're right. I
It's a
don't even know
concert
why
movie.
I asked. I asked because it's 11 o'clock at night.
I know. Well, this is. I will say though, to get back to like the crux of the matter, the reason why it's shocking to me is because everything about this movie, we did like, we did what YouTuber creator people do. We did like a trailer reaction.
Yeah.
And we felt like the trailer for the movie looked good.
Yeah.
It obviously was coming after Ghostbusters Afterlife from a few years ago now, which was like this like real weird, whimsical,
little schmaltzy.
A schmaltzy emotional take on the Ghostbusters that like took the story into the rural Oklahoma or whatever. Paul Rudd says it like 50 times in this movie.
Yeah.
But that movie had so much fondness for Ghostbusters, and it was well reviewed. I just pulled this up now just for the sake of comparison. 64% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
So we're getting
critics.
For the critics. We're getting and 94 for audience. We're getting like a decrease. Ghostbusters 2016 was rated better than this too.
Yeah.
And now Frozen Empire is rated even worse than that. But I've got a weird relationship.
Something ain't right. Something's going on with these critics.
Something is going on with the critics.
I think the ghosts are probably paying off the critics.
Kristen, I think
you know what I mean?
Right.
Because ghosts are against the Ghostbusters.
You're right, Kristen. You're right.
So the ghosts are paying off the critics to say that Ghostbusters aren't good.
I think you're onto something here.
I think so too. They're greasing their pockets. And not just with ectoplasm, with dollars.
Different kind of grease altogether. Money grease.
Yeah.
I was worried that we liked the trailer because I didn't want to.
It sets us up for failure.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into the movie with high expectations.
Yeah.
There's no worse, because then there's nowhere to go but down.
Right.
But something happened in the last few days when I saw this number. Because it's been a couple of days that it's been known that the reviews for this movie have not been all that good.
Yeah.
I felt a change within me. I did. Something was changing inside.
Yeah.
And I went into the movie with low expectations.
Right.
Which I think is 100% the way to go always.
It's certainly it's the ideal, or going in. I have to say, I think I went in with the ideal expectations on this one.
Really?
I didn't go in with low expectations. I went in with, I hope it's good expectations.
Yeah, okay.
I really liked this trailer. I certainly know it could go either way, but I hope it's good. Let's see what happens here. And if it's not, damn. If it is,
so be
great.
It. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I think that's good too.
Yeah.
So,
doesn't always happen for me, but with this one, it did. And part of why that is, I also kind of had, I wouldn't call it a sea change, but I was sort of thinking about this. I think that for us, and for a lot of people as well, but for us as podcasters who pay now special and very focused attention to movies that we like.
Too much attention.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
It builds up this sort of importance to movies that we especially like. So obviously Scream ad nauseum.
I know.
The Blair Witch Project, Ghostbusters, maybe some other things, but things that we have liked since we were kids or whatever. Ghostbusters certainly falls into that. And I was thinking, like, can it just be a good movie? Could it not have the weight of me liking Ghostbusters since I was a kid on it? And it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And doesn't have to live up to Ghostbusters. Could I just go and enjoy this movie? And it's just a good movie, and like, who the hell cares? And I'm happy to say I felt like that.
Chrissy,
William,
your lips to my ears.
great.
About 3 minutes into the movie, I had my first moment where I was like, now why have they made this choice? And then I got so annoyed at myself.
Yeah, right.
It
sucks a little of the enjoyment out of it being that critical, you know?
Yeah, and to some extent.
And I do that too. That's why I would even think and notice, like, can you lighten the hell up? Like,
just chill.
Just enjoy a friggin' thing.
I've certainly eviscerated enough like movies and
Same.
creative choices and blah, 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 blah. I've done the nitpicky.
And I certainly will do it again.
I know.
I'm sure.
I mean, to some extent, it's like, I also came to a point early on in this movie where I was like, I sort of am who I am. I like movies and I like storytelling and I like being like, oh, what's the thing they're starting with?
Yeah.
I wonder how this sets up the rest. And I start doing the math on storytelling of like, oh, they're doing this because probably later. And it was annoying me that I was doing that again.
Yeah.
And then I accepted. I went through all those stages of grief.
I know.
And I was like, it is what I do. What am I
Right.
going to do?
Right.
But it did allow me to at least unclench a little bit.
Yeah.
And I really liked this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
Yeah, really liked this movie, I think.
I know. I thought it was great.
Unfortunately, time does weird things to how I feel about movies. I know this about myself.
Yeah.
We reviewed Ghostbusters Afterlife a few years ago when it came out. And I think my review was pretty tepid, but it was still like on the positive side of tepid.
Yeah.
And over the years, it's soured.
Right.
That movie is like very slow and like makes me be like, I would never want to just watch this just to have a good time.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I don't
can see that.
I don't know how I'll feel tomorrow.
Sure.
All I can do is tell you, having seen this movie tonight, I genuinely think, and again, not to pit everything against each other, but my gut feeling was like, I think this might be the second best Ghostbusters movie.
I think it might be too, because I've been if I doesn't make sense to say I've come out in defense of Ghostbusters 2, or maybe it does because we have a podcast and we talk about these things, but I guess people really don't like Ghostbusters 2, which I didn't know until you told me like a while ago.
It hit me like a slap in the face in my teen years, because as a kid I was like, there were two Ghostbusters movies.
They both rule,
and you
that's
watch
the end
them
of
back
it.
to back.
Yeah, right. You obviously just watch Ghostbusters movies.
If
and
you
then-
watch Ghostbusters, you watch Ghostbusters 1 and 2, and there's no break in between.
Right, because they both exist, so why wouldn't you?
In my head, from my childhood, they're two halves of a whole.
Totally. And yeah, I remember you told me that people think it's like crappy or whatever, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
No, they're both awesome. But I mean, this was great.
I really liked this movie.
I guess I kind of didn't finish that thought. Yeah, I've watched it as an adult and been like, okay, I hear the people about Ghostbusters 2, but this was awesome.
I managed to go in completely spoiler free.
Yeah, me too.
Which was good. But what I am aware of people presently criticizing the movie for is being, for whatever reason, you know, like Rotten Tomatoes. So they pull in everybody's reviews and then try to average them out to a number. But they also come up with like a one-liner that sort of tries to condense everybody's thoughts into one brief review. So they've got here the critics' consensus. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire offers a certain amount of nostalgia-fueled fun for fans of the original, but a crowded cast and surprisingly serious tone prevent this sequel from truly sparking. So the big criticisms I'm seeing are, it's overly crowded. There are too many characters, and none of them have enough time. And it's overly serious.
That I don't see at all. Like, the last one was serious as hell.
The last one was so proud of itself, self-serious, and slow. We already had
I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters, and I remember I liked it.
Yeah, I watched it in the run-up to this one. And you know, there's plenty in it that I think is interesting. Or even good.
Yeah.
But like, it's just like, dude, I don't want to watch people be depressed.
You know, I mostly,
all
when
day.
I think about it, I think of it being sweet because of
very sweet.
like the stuff with family and Egon and all of that. And then I think of how weird it is that it's basically just like a redo of what happens in the first one. As far as like the ghosty plot things. Those are really the only things I super remember about it. But anyway, yeah, this was not serious.
I did not think this was serious. Again,
At all.
there were literally
I
jokes
would call
in the
this
movie
movie unserious.
that made me laugh.
Me too.
I think that like the new cast was really funny. So
Yeah.
without spoiling anything of the plot, like the non-spoiler plot is that the Ghostbusters are back in New York, and now there's this ice demon that's freezing the city.
Right.
But we already knew from like the trailers and stuff that Patton Oswalt's there, Kumail Nanjiani is in the movie. The old Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters. So that is a lot. I will say that's a lot of people.
And also Annie Potts is back from the first movie.
Yep.
Yeah, Nadine, right? Janine.
Janine.
Yeah.
Janine. But I thought that like, I genuinely thought that everybody showed up in a completely organic way.
Yeah, you saying that it sounds like a lot of people, but to me it didn't feel like a lot of people.
No, I actually thought it
normal.
did a pretty good job balancing 1,000 things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe not everybody gets a ton of time to individually shine.
No, but
I didn't think that this movie required it. And I actually sort of anticipated that this movie finally felt like a setup to doing a whole slate of Ghostbusters movies.
yeah.
One thing that I've harped on, and I went into it waiting to see if they do it in this one,
Yeah.
is like every Ghostbusters movie, the Ghostbusters form a team. First one is like go into business. They form a team, they bust the ghosts, and then they celebrate.
Yeah.
And then the next movie starts.
I know.
The next movie starts and the team doesn't exist anymore.
Right. They have to reform.
They have to reform. They fight one ghost and they celebrate.
Yeah.
And then the next movie, there haven't been ghosts in 30 years. They form a team.
Yeah, it's like it's all
They
the
bust
same
the
basic
ghosts.
formula.
It's the same goddamn thing. And for whatever reason, Ghostbusters Afterlife last time, they treated it as if like, well, no ghosts for 30 years. Gozer's back.
Right.
Thank God we stopped Gozer. And then it ends with this like schmaltzy, like we're back home in the city. It's like, but there are no ghosts.
Yeah.
So what does this business look like?
Yeah.
And inexplicably, this movie does start with them just fighting ghosts. And I was like, oh, maybe they're just not even going to address it. Forget there haven't been ghosts in 30 years. There just are now.
They didn't really address it.
They didn't
right?
address it.
Which
but
I don't think is a spoiler either, because it's kind of in the trailer that just
Yeah.
like, there's just a cabbie who's getting his like hat blown back because ghosts are around now.
which almost annoyed me. But then as the movie
I don't
continued on, I think that there is an answer to that. And this movie does eventually, I think, tell a story of like now they're going to have plenty of work to do
Yeah.
in New York. And it can just be Monster of the Week going forward, which admittedly is not the most like inspired thing of
Sure.
like,
But it is fun.
it's fun. I just want to see
Yeah.
these characters. So even though they didn't give every character time to shine in this movie, I felt like it was like, well, we've all now set up this like, there are going to be plenty of ghosts to fight in the future.
Right.
So we'll meet these characters again,
Yes.
hopefully, and then they'll have time to grow and develop, and who knows.
And I mean this in a non-cheesy way. Like, let's say you have like a big family or something, and there's like a party or whatever. You might not get to have like a ton of FaceTime with every family member.
Yeah.
Like, it is a lot of characters, and you get to see them a little bit here and there, but like, it's like you're at a big party and you don't get to spend like quality time with each of them. You
Yes,
know?
yeah.
It's okay. But it still makes sense. They're still at the party together because they know each other, and it's organic that they're all there.
Yes. I think that's a great example, because
Yeah.
even the way the old cast is treated, at no point do they have like some big like swell of like, who's coming through the door?
No, they know each other.
It's Ray Stantz. It's like, no, Ray has been running this bookstore for 30 years. So if you
Right.
got to talk to somebody, you talk to Ray. Hey, hi, I'm Ray.
Yeah,
They like make it a non-issue, the legacy of this world,
totally.
which made it all feel like, yeah. When you're in New York,
That's
the
who you would go
Ghostbusters
to.
live there.
Yeah, and also it's like he's a family friend
Yeah.
of our Ghostbusters. Like, they're still all close. So it's not weird that they would get in touch with him or stay in touch with him now that they live in New York.
Exactly. Yes. And that again is why in a future world where there are more sequels, this can all work very smoothly.
Yeah.
Except it's being reviewed very, very poorly. And now I have no idea what like a box office for this might look like.
We'll find out what the audience score is. Also, by the way, it's Thursday right now as we're recording. Like,
Right.
it comes out on Thursdays. Movies that come out on Fridays now come out on Thursday nights. Still, Fridays and the weekend are the big thing. So this
Yeah.
is still extremely early
That is
to
true.
be talking about this. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
no, that's definitely a good point.
Yeah.
All right, listen, we gave our spoiler-free review. I think that there's a lot to say about like the actual plot
Yeah.
of this story and like how the cast is used, and I don't know. There are a lot of I was surprised by how many not they're I don't want to say twists and turns. I feel like
I was surprised by a lot of things. Like there were just things in the trailer that didn't play out the way that I expected them to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call them twists and turns necessarily, but I guess beats that I expected to be sort of typical or something were not used the way that I thought they would be.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought that like the roles that these characters performed in the movie were different than what I anticipated as well.
I was very surprised.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right, we're gonna start spoiling the movie. That means if you're listening to the version that's out on like the main Guide to the Unknown feed, we're gonna leave you here.
Yes.
And we're gonna continue our review on patreon.com/gttupod. But we wanted to at least give you our thoughts. And hey, if you want to join us on Patreon, wonderful.
We'd love to have you.
And people on Patreon, we're gonna spoil the movie in 3,
2, 1. She's an old woman.
She's an old woman.
You know it, baby.